Welcome to the Mystery College podcast. Today we're doing an interview with Martin Faulks. Martin Faulks is a ninja, he's a artist, and he's also done like a really phenomenal process where he has reversed his aging and pretty significantly as well. And today we're going to be focusing on the initiation process as presented by Bardon and some of the mysteries behind that. Welcome to the show.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you. It's great to be here, Jake. Yes, so this is a nice subject to talk to you about, but maybe we'll do a more in-depth conversation at a later point. So, have you read Fabato, Jake? Have you ever read that novel?
Yeah, I have read Bravado.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
So there's an interesting scene there. There's an interesting scene. I believe he's in Germany at the time, and he's in a cafe, and he can hear some other people talking about esoteric matters. So he's sitting there listening. And some of the things they say are so silly that the great master himself can't help but have a little laugh at them. So they're so incorrect about the esoteric practices that it makes him actually chuckle out loud. And it's enough that it gets their attention. They're like, well, why are you laughing at me? And he says, oh, I'm very sorry. And they become friends. So it leads to a good thing. Now, that's quite interesting. In the modern day, a lot of people have a kind of view that all opinions are acceptable when it comes to these matters. And that's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing. And we probably wouldn't say everything. If I said to you, right, so I'm just going to ignore the recipe for concrete when building your house, you'd say, don't know, Martin. Don't know. Maybe you could just keep. And I say, hey, don't you oppress me? This is my own particular viewpoint, some things need to be judged by their effectiveness. Now, today in our conversation, what I'd like to discuss are some mysterious things in Franz Bardon's books. Mysterious things which you and I together can try to solve. So the first mysterious thing is about the depth of experience taking place. So if you read Bardon, he's very in line with a lot of traditional spiritual literature. If you meet an angel in the Bible, that's a really big thing. That's a really full-on experience. That's one that you might have a problem recovering from. It's one you want to prepare for in a very careful way. You need to think about, a lot. If you come out of the body in traditional experiences and in Bardon's text, that's a big shamanic process. So what's intriguing is when we've got Bardon, these elements are very physical to him. You shouldn't condense them in your heart, or you might cause yourself mischief. You need to really purify yourself before you use them. You need to sort of hold on for the ride when you're going to get to some of these higher exercises. And then we look at modern literature. We see people now don't seem to be having such big experiences. You listen to people, I could direct you to YouTube. People saying, right, well, last night I came out of the body and I went to this plane and I met Kali, the goddess of destruction, and they had a conversation with her. She said, you shouldn't do this and shouldn't do. Wow. Something's changed. If you read the Greek magical papyri, an experience of meeting a deity, you'd actually put a talisman over your heart. You'd prepare yourself so that your heart didn't stop when you had that big experience. Why do you think these experiences seem so gentle and easy and safe to the majority of people you and I are listening to or talk to. Well, what's your opinion, Jake?
Yeah. The first image that came to mind was the idea of body training and the idea of people having the conductive pathways to channel a being's energy to begin with. It's much like if like there's talks about when people come near the relic of a saint and then it's quite a taboo to touch such a sacred object or relic because it is said in some circles that if you touch the object of a saint that you might like almost be electrocuted because of the magnanimity, the force that's been generated by that cultivator's practice. So that's what came to mind was that, okay, have we done the necessary body training? Do we, like in Bardon's day, it was most people, there's still more like close to or pretty even amount of people who are living in an agrarian setting where they might have been plowing the fields, where they might have been doing some type of activity or daily work that would connect their body and allow them to be a better conduit. So that's one. I'm curious what you have, what your thoughts are.
Well, it's intriguing to me. So I think the situation might be that maybe people, their imagination has a bit more control, and that sort of it may be that these practices were once taken a bit more seriously, and now sort of often things are a little bit more gentle. And not saying there isn't any kind of energetic contact going on, but it certainly isn't to the level there. And you can imagine Bardon on the table hearing someone saying they met sort of Kali, the goddess of sort of death and destruction, casually. You can imagine him spitting his coffee out. It'd be a black coffee, and being a bit surprised. So that might have been one of the things that he found a little bit surprising. It may be in the same a little bit as that. It's another mystery. It's a mystery in Bardon, which I like your opinion on. Do you have the practice of magical evocation?
I don't have the copy on me though.
But you own it, yes.
Yeah, of course.
And is it the new translation or the old Dieter Ruckerberg?
I think the last physical copy of Bardon I bought was of the it was a Dieter Ruberud. I bought it maybe in 2017 or so.
Well, one of those it did, not all of them. Dieter puts a little note at the front. He says, be real cautious with this book. Some of the spirits may not quite be in the correct order, and you need to have got to step 8 before you can do this, so you can actually see them, so you can actually tell what the truth is. And I worked through them all in order. That's an important note. Now, why did he say this? Well, he knew that some of the lists that Bardon drew on came from different places. So you're probably aware that he takes spirits from the Goesha, from the Picatrix, the Shimham or Meferash. These are different sources from other grimoires. He puts them all together. And one of the things he draws upon is Quinch's book, Ra Omar Quinch's book called Kabbalit. Now, in Kabbalit, you can see the same kind of there's an overlap with some of the spirits. So the spirits of you see in the sphere of that Bardon lists of Jupiter are the ones from the Saturn sphere. And you can see this, you can see this yourself. If you go into the back, right, of that practice of magical evocation, you'll see that the rings of Saturn are all over the diagrams of the Jupiter entities. Now, these drawings aren't new. They were actually in earlier publications. I'm not going to go into that too much. And there's a lot of other mysterious things about that book. So, for example, the spirits of the sun are in fact a cipher for different planetary names of different stars. This has been well demonstrated. I'll send it to you if you haven't seen it. It's quite intriguing to see. So Dieter concluded that this was deliberate. So he thought, well, let's let's give a little bit of a statement to people so they're aware. But this is probable that there's a real hierarchy hidden in here, and that he's put lists for stuff from everywhere else. So that's really very interesting, isn't it? The idea that maybe you go through the correct training, and one of the first things you might find is the real list. You might find what's going on there. But you and I need to ask then, if it's demonstrable, if you can actually look and you can see the rings of Saturn on Jupiter, you can go and get Omer Quinch's books and actually the source books. You can see it's all been a bit shuffled around. Why do we find ourselves in a strange situation now where all the modern practitioners, their experiences seem to match what's said in the book? No one's having a surprise moment and going, oh, hang on, this is incorrect. What could be happening there, Jake?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There might be confirmation bias. Like oftentimes when connecting with a spirit, it's a very, sometimes like the description in the book is a very, very limited presentation of the actual scope and capacities and interests of the spirit. And also the things that may have been recorded at that time were a reflection of what he or could either cipher or mediumistically receive. So my perception is that like their spirits for knitting or sewing, it might be something completely, I may have a completely different connection, or you may, or a listener than that.
Yeah. Interesting. And do you think it is possible? You'd be reading for Barto that Bardon, he wasn't 100% sure he wanted to undertake this mission. He wasn't sure that it was time to reveal these things to the world. I think it's possible that some things just to mean that we need to think things through a bit before we do them. We have to be a little bit more aware. It's a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
The aware in the pieces, like the different ciphers, like from what was it from what's that, Stellar or something? I can't pronounce the name so well, but they use
yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So little bits and pieces and assimilating them. That's part of the trick that you're suggesting or offering.
Yes, it's an interesting point. Yes. So I think, yeah, that is what I'm suggesting. I think that the idea that there's a few things just to make sure. Are you awake? Have you really done it? Because it's a big thing now, isn't it? It's a big thing whereby people tend to just want to skip around and do whatever they like, go straight into the sort of more exciting things, or the things that appear to be more exciting to them. And yes, I think the sun spirits, they are a cipher for the fixed stars. So that's quite an intriguing thing, and that's been sort of kind of found. So yeah, I think it's probable that there are a few things just to make sure we know what we're doing and we don't skip ahead too much. I'll tell you another one that might be in that bracket. It'd be interesting to hear your opinion on it. On the front of the Key to the True Kabbalah, there's a diagram. It's like a wheel diagram, and it's got all the letters it's got all the correspondence the letters would have on there. So it's got the elements, it's got the planets, it's got the signs of the zodiac, but it doesn't match them for you. That's an intriguing thing. So then you've got the actual book where the letters are described. So he hasn't put the two together for you, but you know they should be together. Yeah. So your mission is to identify what is the correspondence of any letter to the diagram on the front. Yeah. Now, here's an intriguing thing. Many people appear to be getting very good results by what they're saying, and they don't appear to have done that foundational job. If you say to, or at least from what they're saying and some of the conclusions they come, they haven't matched the letters to the underlying force that they are connected with. That's an intriguing thing. What do you think's happening there? Is it what's going on? This is another mystery, isn't it? Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that myself because I'm thinking particularly about about Bob Smith and his path working through the zodiac in relation to the Kabbalistic letters. So I'm thinking about
is that an example? I mean, please forgive me, I don't know particularly what's being there. Is that an example where the letters have been matched up?
I'd have to ask him if that's part of his process. Yeah, yeah, I'll have to give more thought to that and research a bit more. But
yeah, but are the 12 letters one corresponding to each zodiac sign, or do you remember?
I just don't know. I'll have to ask him. But yeah, yeah, that's really awesome. I'll have to dive deeper into that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, do you think it could be that people can just connect directly without the correspondence, or do you think some people are making the correspondence and not sharing it, or do you think modernly people haven't maybe that blind, just that extra layer of, you need that layer of insight and work for some people? Again, I'm not talking about anyone in particular. I don't know what other people are doing, but for some people, are they not matching them? Is it working? Is that extra step working to kind of protect that third book unless you've completed the others? What are your thoughts?
That's interesting. My perception of it is that understanding that correlation would absolutely amplify and give people more access to power and to, with it. And one perception about that's coming to mind is how with over time, like say like in through Vedic times, like there's millions of gods, and like over time they get assimilated into a different system, or languages change, cultures change, so the pronunciations, the different aspects of a deity or culture change as they go to different areas or cultures, right? We see this a lot with different Vajrayana schools of Buddhism, like going from over to China,
indeed,
and
that's a good example. Yeah,
the energetic definitely, like in my perception, between the different like the different characters that represent the deity or the energetic shifts, but foundationally there's like a lot of overlap I found, but I haven't tested that without knowing that there was an existing relationship between the two. So I may be totally biased in that perception.
No, absolutely. And this is an intriguing subject, because then we're kind of asking, do these sounds have a genuine objective connection with a reflective underlying force, or is it a traditional association that could be different in different countries and you could just find something behind them yourself? Obviously Sanskrit's got its own and Hebrew's got its own. Intriguing kind of question to muse upon there. Likewise, with these letters and so on, it'd be very intriguing to see how much they do match across cultures. As an aside, with the Vajrayana, I know of a Buddhist school who discovered that for over 120 years they got two beings, two bodhisattvas transposed.
Nope.
Death.
Wow.
Yes. That how was it? Did we get that because of the peace sign? Why did we get the?
I don't know. That was strange.
Yes, there you are. Magic. You summoned some celebratory bubbles. Can you imagine being that you're in the middle of a tradition and you're working on something and you realize you've had it wrong? You know, when it came over from India, it got wrong, and all the temples in the whole of Japan have got it wrong. What do you do? And it seems to have been working the other way around. Do you switch them, or do you just think, oh, okay, we've gone this far? It's an intriguing thing.
Intriguing.
Yeah. What I think is very interesting, though, is that we did manage to have a celebratory kind of response there. I'm trying to work out how you made. There doesn't appear to be a manual way to summon balloons celebrating. That was to do with your
the MacBook feature. They updated the OS to do like AI recognition or something. I just disabled it because it's a bit distracting.
Yeah. How wonderful, though, we had a celebration at that particular point.
Yeah.
So, Jake, these are some mysteries, and there are many others that us Bardonites must think about. You know, there's a few other things in there. Everyone's got their own. We must also have some compassion that these books were written at high speed in a pressured situation. But there are some intriguing questions. Now, I feel like today, you and I have said hello. I've come in here, thrown a few hand grenades in the form of questions, and now I'm going to be heading off. But maybe we could discuss, all these in a sort of another conversation. And maybe this is a chance to ask the people, the viewers, people who have watched your podcast, have watched you do interviews before, what do they think's going on with these three? Why is the nature of spiritual experience for many people far more gentle than described by both Bardon or by previous practitioners in the past, and far more accessible? Secondly, the spirits in Bardon's PME appear to have been drawn from a diverse range of places and appear to have been deliberately shuffled just to test us. But no one seems to have noticed that test. Why is that? How could that be? And finally, the letters. The letters on the key to true Kabbalah. These are here to help us connect with underpinning forces. The diagram on the front clearly shows the traditional text that he drew from, which have similar diagrams, clearly have them. Why don't modern practitioners connect them? What's happening? Is it just they don't know? Is it just that are they caught in imagination, or have they found a genuine other heart-based route whereby they're not limited by intellect? I'd like to hear opinions, and people can perhaps leave you comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the there's a can of worms worth of questions.
Yes. So I can leave you with these three questions. Now, apologies. Today, you and I have we've caught an opportunity to talk in a small window. We'll be able to talk a little bit more at a latter date. But it's been lovely to meet and to make that connection.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to speaking to you on a future podcast.
Thank you, Jake. It's been an honor.